Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. Today, we're talking about the first two episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 on Paramount+. The episodes are entitled Hegemony Part 2 and Wedding Bell Blues. We open Episode 1, where our Season 2 cliffhanger ended almost 2 years ago.
With Captain Pike going, abba, 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 abba.
Yeah, that's right. Admittedly, I forgot how that show ended. So I had to refresh my memory. I was like, yes, you're right. Pike. So, quickly, Pike, Scotty, and Batel had all been rescued from the Gorn, though Batel had been implanted with Gorn eggs. Meanwhile, the Gorn had captured La'an, Ortegas, Mbenga, and Sam Kirk. With the Gorn attacking the Enterprise, Pike eventually, reluctantly decides to flee, but not before planting a tracker on the ship that's holding his captured crew. We end Episode 2 with the reveal that Trelane, the entity from the original series, is Q's son. It's long been assumed that Trelane was a member of the Q Continuum. Somewhat makes sense. Trelane, although he's not named specifically, it's Trelane. Trelane had granted Spock's wish to change his relationship with Chapel. So instead of Chapel arriving on the ship with her new love interest, Roger Corby, Chapel and Spock are getting married. Spock, Corby, and eventually Chapel all realize that the wedding is an illusion. It's called off. And before Trelane can punish them, he's called away by Father Q. Meanwhile, Ortegas is still having PTSD from her encounter with the Gorn in Episode 1. All that said, Paul.
Yes.
What'd you think of the first two episodes of Strange New Worlds Season 3?
So, I liked the first one, and I didn't like the second one.
Okay.
So
what's your obviously they're very different episodes.
That's true.
The Stranger Worlds continuing its themes in a way of being like, hey, let's go different genres, different tones, and this one has a definitely radically different tone.
Yes, it does.
Episode 1 to 2. Okay.
Yeah.
So
the first one, it got you right back into the action there. I liked how, some people I think were a little more put off by Pike not being immediately being Captain Lee, and yet I liked how he was sort of fielding ideas. He's like, okay, guys, give me ideas. And he's like, no, we can't do this.
Almost like stalling for time, right?
Well, see, that's the way you're negatively framing it.
Oh, okay.
When it's
no, but I'm not being
I
negative.
I hear things from people to help me do it. It's like, this is a weird situation. This is hard. I need the people to help me with this moment. That's why you have a crew.
Great point. I think it's also he is almost emotionally compromised in that moment.
Yes, right.
He's got Batel less than a day away from dying.
Yes.
From a Gorn infestation, and then he's got several significant crew members that are being taken away. And so in that moment, he's trying to think rationally, and the best way to do that, get advice from your. No, I didn't see any problem with that at all, actually. But interesting that people did. Okay.
And so even when they were when La'an and those guys were on the ship, it was La'an who was like, we're going to save all these people.
Oh, right.
And they were talking it through and all that stuff. I liked all that stuff. So even when they magically put them all to sleep, I was fine with that too. So I liked that episode. But what I didn't like about the second episode was it did not, the humor just did not work for me. They had the little music there to make you know that it was supposed to be humorous. And, while, yes, Trelane is an old character and those situations happen from time to time, I didn't have much patience for that situation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the big takeaway from the first two episodes, Wham is canon in Star Trek. That's the big... at the 100th anniversary of their Federation event, they play "Wake Me Up Before You Go."
That's true, they do.
And everybody seems to know the song. I mean, despite the fact that at that point it's hundreds of years old. So Wham is popular, not just around. They're popular. Exactly. Timeless.
It's like an old, row, row, row your boat or something to them, I guess.
Right. Oh, great point. Yeah. That old folk song.
That's right.
Wake me up before you go.
That's right, yes.
I would, they may have considered Last Christmas instead, because it opens with the perfect lyrics. It's, like, last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. I mean, it's basically the plot of the episode. Anyway, so okay. They went with Wake Me Up Before You Go.
Sure.
No, I think you're right on the first episode, Hegemony Part 2. I think it successfully, it was intending to show various groupings of the crew reacting to this crisis. And so you have Pike and the bridge crew, Spock and Chapel, Scotty and Pelia, and then our 4 captured crewmates. They're all basically, it's like a plot juggling balls, like tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
I do feel like while it competently resolved all those plot points, it did feel a little bit rushed to try to handle all of those even though they weren't going to go to a part 3. I guess. Like, okay, part 2's enough. And maybe the plot points dealt with. Technobabble is obviously a feature of Star Trek, so sure. I'm not gonna judge it too harshly. But it seemed like all 4 of those groupings accomplished their goals with the inclusion of Technobabble.
Yes,
there was the solar flare hibernation Technobabble, the Gorn cloaking device Technobabble, the transponder. Anyway, so it's like, okay, maybe one of those or 2 of those could be without a Technobabble solution, but
I can, it feels like par for the course.
Yeah, it did a good job, really, at getting around, because they wanted to remind us who this crew is, and it did so. Hey, it's been a couple years, you may have forgotten all the crew. Yeah. Here they are. Okay, yep, you're right.
Yep.
There's a moment where Scotty, they're talking about doing the solar flare.
Yes.
And Scotty tells Pike that the odds of surviving the radiation of a binary star are like 1,000 to 1. And Pike responds with, I like those odds. And I gotta think that at least part of his confidence is the knowledge that he's definitely going to survive.
Well, he's definitely going to survive.
I'll survive, and I'll be in a reasonable condition for another 10 years. So I think we're good. Let's do this. Let's go.
It's going to be like, wow, strangely, you fell into this little pocket, and only you survived. Right. The rest of the ship was destroyed. But wow, you seem to be charmed.
Hegemony and Hegemony Part 2 certainly feels like an homage to, arguably the best Trek season cliffhanger, TNG's Best of Both Worlds.
Sure, they concluded their conclusion of the episode the way they concluded, the Best of Both Worlds.
Oh, great point. And the Gorn and the Borg have similar juggernaut reputations, I think, in these respective series at this point. It seemed like they intentionally went out of their way to mimic the strategy of the Best of Both Worlds, where there Picard/Locutus manages to tell Data to issue a sleep command for the Borg Collective, and here the crew simulates a solar flare to trick the entire Gorn hegemony into hibernating. So I don't think that's a coincidence. I think
maybe not.
I think the show intended to mirror that tactic, which I'm not sure that that choice. I don't know that you need to do that choice. Everything doesn't have to have a precedent. I feel like you could just do your own standalone tactic. But anyway, it was fine. It worked. It's a tactic that obviously would deal with the Gorn in a way that doesn't kill them all off. They're still around, and also keeps them as somewhat of a threat for later, which we know they're going to come back around later and all that stuff. So it works. It's just like, maybe if I was in the writer's room, I probably would have felt like, we don't have to do the sleep trick. Let's come up with a different strategy. I think personally, I would have done that.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, partly because while I've seen those episodes, it wasn't top of mind. It's more than what people mentioning it, so it's not like, how could they, or
yeah. Here's what it would be bad if they went back to the TNG episode and then inserted a line. Back in the day, the Enterprise faced a similar scenario. Let's put them to sleep. I think that'll. Okay, you're fine. That's fine. We finish episode 1 with Battelle is still recovering from her near-death experience, and she's unsure of what assignment to take next. Both she and Pike, I think, realize that their careers are going to take them apart. And so, I'm interested to see how long they keep them together. Like,
Sure.
oh, she's still technically recovering, so she can hang out for a few more episodes, but at some point they're going to obviously have this choice to make.
Right.
Okay, our careers are both very important to us, and they're going to take us to various parts of the galaxy, so, we'll text, I guess. But anyway, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when he was, I feel like it was a moment he said something that made me think that she was aware that he, is aware of his fate.
I think she is aware, right? 'Cause I'm not. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen those episodes of season 2 and stuff. But yeah, you're right. When he says something like, "Yeah, join the crowd," when she's like, "I feel like I'm on borrowed time" or something like that. Well, yeah, I think she does know. So I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting. That's a cool relationship that's in flux. That I don't know how they'll resolve that exactly.
Yeah, an interesting thing for me too in those moments at the end when she was sort of shocked that they had used, number one.
Oh, the Illyrium blood.
Yeah. So, of course, she was the one that came for,
great point. I didn't even put that together.
And so, the fact that they would use it, but she did tell them, whatever you have to do. It's like, okay, that's in the whatever.
That's a great point. She did say that too. Like, whatever it takes.
Yeah,
like, okay.
Whatever it takes.
Also, there's the fact that it's not like, I think the blood would pass through. I don't know that she'd even necessarily be like, I now have
we don't know.
blood in.
If it passed through, then maybe it's not an issue at all. Maybe for everyone it can do that. Or who knows if it makes some sort of change or lingers on. And it's like, wow, now we got to get another transfusion just to get rid of it.
Yeah, great point. Like, what does that mean for the future of healthcare in this particular realm? Yeah, you had some issues with episode 2. There were a couple of lines that I did appreciate, most of them from Spock. There was this one bit it's Spock being almost passive aggressive, and so there's this bit where he and Corby are realizing they're the only two that aren't under the illusion.
Yes.
And so Corby says, "My rigorous intellect may have shielded my mind from the illusion." So Spock responds with, "Doctor, if one of our intellects could bestow immunity, I am confident it would not be yours." That was a good line. Yeah. That was that is a face maneuver right there, which is like. But no, I'm just speaking. I know what you're talking about. It's no emotion in it. I'm just saying. Obviously, I'm smarter than you. So I looked it up actually, and so the same year that this episode occurs in the timeline, which is 2261.
Okay.
That's the same year that Roger Corby goes to the planet XO3, gets badly injured from exposure on the planet's, and then discovers the civilization of androids, transfers his consciousness into an android body. So he and Chapel don't have much more time together. Like as a couple, they have a couple of months maybe before he's going to disappear, basically.
Do they get married? Is that what happens? Or
they get engaged. I think they get engaged. Okay. Yeah. So they get engaged. He disappears. Then in the original series, it's like 5 years later or something, look, mysteriously, he's alive and he's underground with these androids. So I feel like while this does feel like they found a way for Chapel and Spock to end it, they very well might by the end of this season even have her be like, "Oh my God, he disappeared. Roger's gone. What am I ever going to do?" And now are they back to like, are we not? I don't know. So it's interesting. It's not like once she got engaged, that was it. It's not. It's very quickly he's going to disappear. So we'll just see. We'll just see what that does. Another relationship in flux, I guess. We saw that with Lon teaching Spock how to dance. It seemed like that by facing down the Gorn the second time and defeating them, Lon has overcome her PTSD.
Yeah.
He notices she's moving much lighter and everything. And so it seems like though she just like that PTSD just passed over to Ortegas. Like one of us has to be terribly stricken by the Gorn. So I'm guessing there's a plot line coming where Lon helps Ortegas over her PTSD,
that makes
right?
sense. Yeah.
I'm a fan of Rhys Darby. I will say the actor who played Trelane. I liked his comedic chops back when I think I first saw him as he was the manager in the Flight of the Conchords, the HBO series. Very fun. I mean, genuinely funny stuff. So he's a really maybe not quite menacing enough, but certainly captures the Q style absurdity very well. So yeah, I don't know that I doubt we're going to see him again.
Yeah, I wasn't really
that was probably
fond with that.
one-off.
That didn't.
It just felt like it was. How do we create a scenario where Spock and Chapel can say goodbye to each other? Here, we'll create this fake marriage, and then at the wedding they can kind of break it off.
Yeah,
so,
although I guess I like the sort of event that she described, wherein what sort of led them to their romantic moment.
Yeah,
and then
the moon and the stars.
Yeah, and then he references it later on, the the poem or whatever.
Right, the Neruda poem.
Right, and
Neruda's canon. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yes, just like
Neruda and Wham.
Just
two
like
things
Shakespeare, it's just another literary figure, which is much cheaper to use than an actual pop song.
Yep. So, good point. Here's something that I think we probably talked about 2 years ago, but I've forgotten if we talked about it. So I'll bring it up here. The Gorn.
Yeah.
Like they come off as an
alien
analog to the xenomorphs. Okay, which is fine. Okay, and chest bursters and all that. Okay, sure. So be it. But then they've added in this thing, and I don't think I'm not 100% up on xenomorph canon. Let's say, but I don't think the xenomorphs are like creating spaceships and piloting them. I think like that was like the engineers were like this overlord thing that created the xenomorphs and blah 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 blah. So it's a bit odd. They feel they being the Gorn feel very primal. They've got these egg sac chambers and they blah blah blah. And then suddenly they're also we have faster than light travel and we have all these spaceship technology and it just feels a little out of place. They seem a little too primitive or too like animalistic to also be like I'm a Gorn scientist and I have a theory and here's my book on that. Like, we haven't met any Gorn who are like, you will fall before us, for our technology is mighty. I'm like, how did they get this tech and know how to use it? It seems a little odd. Like, it doesn't quite match what I think they were going with is that whole alien chestburster idea.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I've only seen a few movies of the alien. I think in my head, I always thought that they'll have arms and fingers and thumbs and everything. So I don't see why they couldn't also have spaceships. It's just they need to find a place to nestle in somebody.
It's possible. I feel like just what we've seen of them, which is admittedly very little, but it does feel like they are supposed to be like these primal hunters of nature, essentially. But then also they're also really evolved technologically, and like okay, and yet they all hibernate for long periods of time. I don't know. It feels a little like I'm not at this point in their story. Sure. I'm not getting how the Gorn that we've kind of become accustomed to seeing here is the same as the Gorn that's got spaceships and lasers. Like when they're attacking, this was a scene that particularly made it stand out to me. They Lon and company have escaped the egg sacs. And here come a whole bunch of Gorn into the vault.
Right.
Now, instead of just attacking them, like because they're super fast and they have claws and everything, they're shooting phasers at them. And I'm like, oh, okay. I kind of would have assumed that they would have just attacked physically, like melee, but so I was like, oh, okay, they're actually like intelligent enough to be like, actually, we have long range phasers. We will just attack with those. Like, oh, okay, all right, that's something I didn't realize about the Gorn.
Talking about when, yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, if it was merely that they like the Gorn don't have warp, then it's like if there's this primitive species that keeps doing this, and so it's like, wow.
No, I get it. In the plot of the show, they have to be technologically advanced.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
But it just feels like it's an odd, but we haven't really seen that they would theoretically have that capacity. But
because I feel like, especially if you think about when actually on the original series, those guys could have that. It's this lizard head guy,
No, he seemed very intelligent.
Yeah, at least intelligent enough to, pilot a ship, which you don't
remember that when they were playing a game of chess to determine who was going to, win the day? That was okay. No. It's not a deal breaker. It's just like, okay. I think I would like a little more detail on how the two versions of Gorn.
I'd be surprised.
Somehow...
It seems like they're coming to some sort of, since they're even though it's they're invading and everything. So they have clearly have technological prowess. And so I can't imagine that they're not trying to do a sort of long play the way that the Klingons were, antagonists, and eventually they had to come to some sort of peace. So I'd be surprised if they weren't going in that direction, even though they've made them, pretty inhuman. I'd be surprised if the ultimate goal is not to try to make them creatures that they could communicate with, and
It would actually be pretty funny if they've just discovered how they can just infinitely deal with the Gorn. Anytime they come out of hibernation, you're like, oh, they're out of hibernation? Send the ship over to that binary star. Whoop! Oh, they're back in hibernation. Hey! All right. They're coming out.
Ooh, maybe you can use some more sleep.
Yeah. I guess it's time for a nap again. All right. Everybody retreat. No, I assume it's not that easy, but yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if, the fact that that's how they adapted. Like, how are we going to keep it from them making us go to sleep? Oh, maybe if we, go into this looking more humanish and with a lizard head. Right. That's how we can do it.
And move much slower. Yeah. I think that'll help. So we will be back talking about episode 3. And I've got my tickets all ready to go see Fantastic Four this weekend.
There you
go. Assuming you do as well, we'll talk Fantastic Four.
Sure, certainly.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good
problem.
sir. And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.